Alex Pereira is set to step back into the octagon with Magomed Ankalaev at UFC 320 on October 4th, but not everyone believes this rematch needed to happen. Pereira lost his light heavyweight title to Ankalaev in March after spending much of the fight forced onto the back foot, an uncomfortable position for the Brazilian striker. Ankalaev's relentless forward pressure neutralized Pereira's rhythm and power, earning the Russian a clear unanimous decision and his first UFC championship. While Pereira is eager to reclaim the belt and avenge the loss, Chael Sonnen argues that there was little public demand for a second meeting between the two. Speaking to MMA Junkie, Sonnen said he couldn't find anyone clamoring for the fight, claiming it wasn't a matchup fans were calling for on social media or elsewhere. According to Sonnen, UFC President Dana White framed it as simply the best against the best. But the former fighter had hoped the promotion would take Pereira in a different direction, specifically up to heavyweight. Sonnen pointed out that Pereira himself has hinted at the move, posting images on Instagram, showing his weight at 246 pounds and projecting the message that he's already sized for the jump. For Sonnen, a leap into the heavyweight division would be more intriguing than running back, a fight that ended in decisive fashion the first time. The concern for Sonnen is that if Pereira loses again to Ankalaev, especially in back-to-back bouts, it could damage his momentum and limit big opportunities in the future. By contrast, a move to heavyweight could offer fresh matchups and potentially higher reward fights without the immediate risk of another loss to the same opponent. Still, for Pereira, this isn't about novelty. It's about unfinished business. Defeating Ankalaev would make him a two-time UFC light heavyweight champion and keep his legacy on track after a setback earlier this year. Whether or not the fans asked for it, Pereira vs Ankalaev 2 is locked in as the UFC 320 main event in October, with the 205-pound title once again on the line and both men looking to make a definitive statement. Michael MVP Page has never been shy about speaking his mind, and his latest comments shine a light on why he's shifted his focus away from welterweight, at least for now, in favor of chasing big fights at middleweight. After surprising fans with a victory over the dangerous Shera Magomedov in his 185-pound debut, Page initially saw the move as a short-term detour. But the opportunity to face Jared Cannonier at UFC 319 has him thinking this might be more than just a temporary change. The Cannonier matchup against one of the division's most respected contenders could catapult him toward a title shot far quicker than trying to navigate the congested and politically tangled welterweight scene. Page says the decision wasn't about abandoning his home division, but about bypassing what he sees as unnecessary hurdles. He described the welterweight landscape as bogged down by cautious matchmaking and fighters being overly selective about opponents. In his view, too many contenders are waiting for the right fight rather than accepting the best available challenge, and that doesn't align with where he's at in his career. MVP insists he's still a competitor who simply wants meaningful, high-level fights, and when those weren't being offered at 170 pounds, the middleweight division became the obvious next step. Complicating the welterweight picture even further, UFC lightweight champion Islam Makhachev is moving up to face Jack Della Maddalena, an unexpected super fight that Page believes will stall the division even more. Between that high-profile booking and the general reluctance of top welterweights to face one another, MVP sees little point in waiting around. Middleweight, by contrast, feels wide open and energized, giving him a chance to maintain momentum. Still, Page is clear that his immediate attention is on Cannonier, a dangerous, durable opponent who has fought the very best at both middleweight and light heavyweight. A win here wouldn't just be the biggest of Page's UFC career. It could cement his place among the elite at 185 pounds and give him leverage to decide his future path. Whether that means staying at middleweight long-term or returning to welterweight once the logjam clears, MVP's priority remains the same. Keep fighting big names, keep building his legacy, and avoid getting stuck on the sidelines while others hesitate. Ilia Topuria will put his unbeaten record and UFC lightweight title on the line when he faces Dustin Gachi in the main event of UFC 323 on December 13th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, closing out the UFC's 2025 pay-per-view calendar with a fight that promises fireworks. While there has been no formal announcement from Dana White yet, the matchup has been widely reported as finalized, and all signs point toward this being the blockbuster year-ending clash fans will get just before the holidays. It pits the technically sharp, ruthless finishing ability of El Matador against the relentless forward pressure and punishing leg kicks of the Highlight, a combination that should produce an all-action fight from the opening bell. Topuria, now 17-0, became a two-division UFC champion when he moved up to lightweight and dismantled Charles Oliveira in just one round at UFC 317, claiming the 155-pound belt in devastating fashion. His UFC run has been flawless, with 9 consecutive victories marked by precise, heavy striking and an ability to control the fight no matter the opponent's style. Riding that momentum, Topuria has set his sights on finishing 2025 with a statement win, potentially positioning himself as the clear-cut pound-for-pound #1 heading into 2026. Known for his confidence and fight IQ, he sees Gachi as a dangerous but beatable challenge, one more opportunity to solidify his dominance in a stacked division. True to form, Gachi absorbed and delivered heavy shots over 3 rounds, proving yet again why he's one of MMA's most exciting fighters. He had no interest in a fight with Paddy Pimblett, instead publicly insisting on a title shot, and the UFC ultimately rewarded his persistence. This will be Gachi's 3rd attempt at the undisputed title, after falling short against Khabib Nurmagomedov and Oliveira. At 36 years old, the stakes couldn't be higher, and a victory here would not only crown him champion, but also serve as one of the most significant wins in his career. The stylistic clash makes the fight intriguing. Gachi thrives in chaos, pushing forward with a mix of wild exchanges, low kicks, and constant pressure. But that same style leaves openings, and Topuria's speed, accuracy, and knockout power make those openings dangerous. For Topuria, the fight offers the chance to beat a fan-favorite veteran with a reputation for toughness, which would add another layer to his growing legacy. For Gachi, it's the rare opportunity to overcome the odds and finally reach the top of the division he's fought in for nearly a decade. UFC 323 will also carry the extra emotion of Topuria's home life, with his wife, Georgina Uzcategui-Bedell, expected to be octagon-side as he attempts to keep his perfect record and close the year as champion. The lightweight division remains one of the most competitive in the sport, and this main event, with its mix of technical brilliance and raw violence, is likely to be one of the most talked-about fights of the year, no matter the outcome. Charles Oliveira isn't slowing down after his latest setback. The former UFC lightweight champion is set for a rapid return, headlining UFC Rio on October 11th against dangerous striker Rafael Fiziev. The booking comes less than 4 months after Oliveira's knockout loss to Ilia Topuria in June, a fight that cost him another shot at the title. While most fighters might take a longer recovery period after such a defeat, Oliveira actively pushed for this quick turnaround, and he made it clear from the start that he wanted it to happen in Brazil. For Oliveira, the motivation goes far beyond rankings or card status. In fact, he says it didn't matter to him whether UFC Rio was a numbered pay-per-view or a fight night. What mattered was being able to compete in front of the Brazilian fans who have supported him throughout his career, and to fight with his family in the crowd. I made the request to Hunter and the UFC to fight in Brazil, in front of my people, Oliveira told Thunderpick. That's something magical for me. Thank God it's happening. Fiziev is no joke. He's a really tough opponent, but I'm genuinely happy and focused. My mindset is bulletproof. When I'm happy and feeling bold, things just flow naturally. The moment the UFC confirmed the fight as the main event, Oliveira said he felt a rush of excitement. He immediately sent messages to his family and coach Diego, ready to dive straight back into camp. For him, fighting on home soil is more than just a location change. It's an emotional and mental advantage, a surge of energy that he believes will fuel his performance on fight night. Although the opponent wasn't his main concern, Oliveira isn't underestimating Fiziev. The striker is widely respected for his elite stand-up skills, smooth footwork, and durability against high-level competition. Oliveira praised Fiziv's technical abilities and respectful approach, but emphasized that his own preparation and mindset will be the deciding factors. "Inside that cage, it's not just me. It's me, him, and a whole nation of Brazilians cheering and vibing with me. That energy will definitely push me forward," he said. Currently holding a professional record of 35-11 with one no contest, Oliveira sits at number 4 in the lightweight rankings. This fight will be a chance not just to bounce back from the Topuria loss, but to remind the division and the fans in his home country why he's been one of the most dangerous and accomplished lightweights in UFC history. With the roar of Rio behind him, Oliveira will be looking to make October 11th a night to remember. The UFC Vegas 109 weigh-ins delivered some last-minute drama on Friday morning as 3 fighters initially missed weight before managing to hit their marks on second attempts. Headlining the card is a middleweight clash between Roman Dolidze and Anthony "Fluffy" Hernandez, but their bout briefly faced a snag when Hernandez came in 0.5 pounds over the 186-pound non-title middleweight limit. Stripping down didn't help on the first try, but he was granted the customary extra hour and later returned to the scale successfully at 186 even. Hernandez wasn't the only one facing the scale struggle. Julia Stolyarenko, who opens the night against Gabriela Fernandez in a flyweight bout, was the first fighter to miss, registering 0.25 pounds over the 126-pound limit. While such a small margin might seem trivial, the commission's rules leave no room for rounding up, forcing her to make another cut before eventually returning to weigh in right on target. The final miss came from Joseline Edwards ahead of her bantamweight meeting with Priscilla Cachoeira. Edwards has had a history of weight issues, having previously missed 4 times during her UFC run, and initially came in 0.25 pounds heavy at 136.25. She too went back to the sauna and succeeded in making the exact limit on her second attempt. While the early tension could have impacted Saturday's lineup, all 3 fighters avoided fines or potential bout cancellations by rallying in time. With the scale drama resolved, UFC Vegas 109 moves forward as planned, with Dolidze versus Hernandez headlining and a full slate of matchups ready to unfold inside the octagon. Khamzat Chimaev is just weeks away from the biggest fight of his career, and he isn't buying into the idea that Dricus du Plessis' weird style will be some unsolvable puzzle. The two will collide in the main event of UFC 319 for the middleweight championship, a matchup many have been calling inevitable since Chimaev bulldozed his way into contender status. While du Plessis has built his reputation on awkward angles, unpredictable movement, and a gritty, grinding approach that has frustrated elite opponents, Chimaev remains unconvinced that there's anything especially mysterious about it. Speaking at Media Day, Chimaev dismissed the notion that du Plessis' unorthodox rhythm is a serious concern, framing it instead as just another version of what mixed martial arts is all about. Everyone says he has a weird style, very weird, that's MMA style. Chimaev explained, "I don't think he's some crazy, weird fighter, but he does his job. He's good. I am better." It's classic Boers, confident without hesitation, his belief rooted in the idea that his own skills and relentless pressure trump any stylistic quirks an opponent might bring. Chimaev emphasized that no matter how unique someone's stand-up might look, once the fight hits the mat, the advantage shifts heavily in his favor. "When someone's laying down on the mats, it's how weird you are on the ground," he said, noting that ground and pound and submissions tend to erase stylistic advantages. His game plan is simple but deadly. Test du Plessis everywhere, from striking exchanges to suffocating wrestling and grappling, until there's nowhere left to run. "I want to know how he can handle it," Chimaev added, hinting that he intends to drag the champion into deep waters across all facets of the fight. For Chimaev, this bout is more than a chance at UFC gold. It's another opportunity to do what he loves most, dominate. He made it clear there's no personal animosity in the matchup, just business and the pure thrill of competition. "We're just making money, having fun." he said with a grin. If he wants to take it personally, it's up to him. For me, it's just work. It makes people happy, it makes me happy. Beating somebody makes me happy. In Chimaev's mind, du Plessis might be tough, durable and unconventional, but the belt is still his to claim. And when the octagon door closes at UFC 319, Boers plans to make that statement with the kind of emphatic win that leaves no room for debate. Joe Rogan is back in action for UFC 319 after missing Dustin Poirier's retirement fight at UFC 318. Rogan sat out the July event in New Orleans, where Paul Felder stepped in to fill his role, but he'll return to his familiar spot on the commentary team for the upcoming pay-per-view on August 16th in Chicago. The main event of UFC 319 will showcase the middleweight title clash between champion Dricus du Plessis and challenger Khamzat Chimaev, and Rogan will be calling the action alongside regular play-by-play announcer Ewan Anik and UFC Hall of Famer Daniel Cormier. This trio brings a well-rounded mix of experience, insight, and excitement to the broadcast, promising fans an engaging viewing experience. UFC officials confirmed the full broadcast lineup to MMA fighting on Thursday. Joining the commentary team will be Charlie Arnold, who will work as the roving reporter inside the arena, providing behind-the-scenes coverage and interviews. Additionally, former UFC fighter Din Thomas will be contributing as the coach analyst, offering expert breakdowns throughout the event. Notably, Dustin Poirier, who recently retired after his decision loss to Max Holloway at UFC 318, is stepping into a new role as an analyst for UFC 319. This marks Poirier's first official broadcast gig since hanging up his gloves, and he'll be joined by other knowledgeable analysts including recently retired UFC veteran Anthony Smith, the outspoken Chael Sonnen, and active welterweight Michael Chiesa. Brendan Fitzgerald is expected to host the desk, tying the whole broadcast together smoothly. In addition to the main event, UFC 319 will feature the highly anticipated UFC debut of Aaron Pico. Pico will face Lerone Murphy in a pivotal featherweight bout co-headlining the event. Fans are eager to see how Pico's renowned wrestling and striking skills translate to the octagon against a tough opponent like Murphy. UFC 319 will take place at the United Center in Chicago, with the main card starting at 10 p.m. Eastern Time and available to stream live via ESPN+. The return of Joe Rogan and the fresh additions to the broadcast team aim to deliver a top-tier viewing experience for fight fans around the world. Chris Weidman and Anderson Silva are set to renew their storied rivalry, but this time they'll be trading punches under boxing rules instead of battling in the UFC's octagon. The matchup, confirmed by a source close to Weidman and reported by Moritz School of the Main Event, marks their third meeting and the first outside of mixed martial arts. Key details such as the fight date, weight class, and number of rounds are still under wraps, but the switch to boxing promises a showdown focused entirely on striking, stripping away the grappling and ground game that shaped their previous encounters. The history between these two former UFC middleweight champions runs deep. Their first clash came at UFC 162 in July 2013, where Weidman shocked the world by knocking out Silva in the second round. That victory not only ended Silva's unmatched 7-year title reign, the longest in UFC history, but also snapped his 17-fight winning streak, cementing the bout as one of MMA's greatest upsets. Their rematch at UFC 168 in December of the same year ended in devastating fashion. Early in the second round, Silva threw a leg kick that Weidman checked perfectly, resulting in Silva's left tibia and fibula snapping on impact. The gruesome injury stopped the fight immediately, and Weidman retained his belt by TKO, while Silva underwent emergency surgery to repair the fracture. Both men have since endured their own career-defining setbacks. Weidman suffered a nearly identical injury to Silva's when his right leg broke during a kick against Uriah Hall at UFC 261 in April 2021, just 17 seconds into the fight. The compound fracture required surgery and a long, grueling recovery. He officially announced his retirement from the UFC in January 2025. Silva parted ways with the UFC in November 2020 after a legendary run, and has since transitioned into professional boxing. His post-MMA career has seen him score notable victories over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Tito Ortiz, proving he still has sharp hands and fight-ending power. While the UFC chapter of their rivalry is closed, the boxing ring offers a new arena for unfinished business. Without the threat of takedowns or submissions, this third fight could give fans the pure striking battle they never truly saw in MMA. For Weidman, it's a chance to prove his skills outside the cage, and for Silva, it's an opportunity to even the score, at least in a different sport. All that's left now is for the fight's official date and details to be announced. But one thing is certain: Weidman vs. Silva 3 will be more than just a bout. It will be a collision of legacies, grit, and redemption in a whole new combat landscape.